I gotta tell you, you want to get me hyped for the off season. I'm a sucker. I know this. These are the things that I realize. I don't try and fight them. I don't try and run from them. I just try and embrace them. And one of the things that I know is I'm a sucker for a good hype workout video. I am, especially for football. I feel like it just has a different vibe than the other sports. You could make a guy taking batting practice. You could make it look as cool as possible, but I don't know. You got to still have like some guys sliding in there, some kind of quick reaction, maybe a diving play here and there for a baseball. Basketball, I think we all kind of get it. You dunk, maybe some cool dribbles and stuff. But there's something about just the football, the weight room, the running, the pushing the sled, all this type of stuff that just gives it a different vibe when it comes. And I think it's also because there's just so much more anticipation than there is for the other sports, because it feels like the wait is just the longest. You go through all these stages of free agency and the draft and all this type of stuff. So yesterday, I'm not going to act like it wasn't Goosey's galore when the Dolphins put out their first little hype video of everybody getting fired up for the season. Just a little peek. It's just like that teaser trailer, like for a show you've been waiting for a long time, and then all of a sudden, like, Ozark is coming back, and Marty Bird's doing something crazy, or Game of Thrones, the prequels, and you just see like a dragon eye open or something like that. This was the same thing. It took like one little flash of Waddle and Tyreek Hill. It's like one little throw from Tua Tagovailoa. People walking, pushing a sled, all that type of stuff, just to get you a little bit jazzed up for what's coming down the pipe. I like that. That one had me in a really great place yesterday. And so did the press conferences. Xavier Howard yesterday got faced the media for the first time since signing his new deal. They put out the pictures of him putting a pen to paper to his restructured or redone contract and looking to keep the Dolphins cornerback here for a long time. He said that he wanted to retire there, win the Super Bowl there. Hopefully, man, from his mouth to the football god's ears, that could actually happen. And that he's always going to be there trying to give the other team, get the offense the football. That's what he does. NFTF, knows for the football better than anybody out there doing it. This guy goes out there and he makes plays for his team. I thought an interesting thing was, though, yesterday, there was a big theme yesterday from Emmanuel Ogbah and from Xavier Howard, both talking about the energy. The energy that is in the building and the vibes that are in the building, and just everybody seems like they're having fun. Now, you got to put this with a couple caveats. All right, it is the off season, so there's no losses, which will ruin the mood of a building. But to the idea that maybe people were wearing thin with the former regime, the former head coach, maybe this is something in a step in the right direction, that you have more of a player's coach here, a guy who is high energy and innovative, young, as far as trying to do what he can to relate to everybody. And we'll see how that translates, but it was very noticeable. They were both talking about the vibe in the building being very good. You could also put the caveat on that, not only that there's no losses right now, that hey, they just signed huge deals with the Miami Dolphins, so I would be happy too. But I did like the idea that it was a theme yesterday, that they seemed pretty excited about what was going on, the vibe in the locker room. I can't even imagine what Tua Tagovailoa's first press conference is going to be like. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know when Tua has to face the media. I don't know if that has to be to minicamp or when. But you gotta be excited to hear what he has to say, of what he's hearing from Mike McDaniel, how he's vibing with Mike McDaniel and the offensive staff, and what's going on there. I think that's obviously the biggest storyline of this team going in. But for Xavier's been through so much here as far as turnover, changing in regimes, big promises, big expectations, contract battles. This guy's kind of been through a roller coaster in his Dolphins career. The only thing that he really needs to add to the resume is you got to have playoff success. Got to be one of the key cogs. And I think if you look on that defense, much like the Jaguars back in 2016 and 17, when their run, Jalen Ramsey was kind of the face, that figurehead of the defense. A lot in Calais Campbell too. I think for this, you have your two guys here, your two veteran leaders in Emmanuel Ogbah and Xavier Howard. Yesterday, these guys are the key cogs. Yeah, you got veteran linebackers, and you still have some very, very young, promising talent. I think that Christian Wilkins obviously is implanting his flag here and is making himself one of the fixtures. But Xavier Howard is the guy with the credentials. Emmanuel Ogbah, he's got the resume of time. And so you invest in these guys and you hope that's going to turn into something. I will say, though, if I could just divert for a second, going back to the workout video, I don't even know if this is in the video. I saw a still shot of it. Somebody had Waddle and Cheetah side by side. Did they race? And if they did race, why don't we have footage of this? And are we ever going to get footage of it? Like, what would be the pay-per-view price? Or maybe, I guess in this case, a Dolphins Patreon price. Like, I don't know whatever. I wonder what they could charge for somebody to just say, hey, we got Waddle, we got Tyreek Hill, race. How much you pay for that? Now, I'm not going to say it's something ridiculous, like $100. Like, obviously, I don't think you get a bunch of people turned out. One person would buy it to get pirated and all that type of stuff. But would you pay, like, because you're going to think, what is this race going to be, like 4 seconds? So would you pay $25 to watch Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill race? I would say I would really want it to be competitive, neck and neck a little bit before, obviously, I think the Cheetah goes and wreaks havoc on Jalen Waddle in the race. But 20, is 20 too much? Is 20 too steep? 15? Could we get you 30? I'm curious of this. Like, what is the pay-per-view price we could get for people to tune into such a thing? The other thing that was cool yesterday from Xavier Howard was just the idea of, I like the one part where somebody was like, he was asked about, what do you think that the expectations should be after all this money was spent? It was like, long question. What are these, you kind of wax. But I've been there. I can be a rambler when it comes to my questions to athletes too. And his just one-word response was, or his two-word response was to win. Win. It was like Adrian Balboa talking to Rocky 2. After all that talk, after sitting in the hospital, she goes, just come here. I want to tell you something. Win. And so that's all Alexis is at the same. He knows what the expectations are. And the expectations are high. We were talking a little bit about this today with my guy Leroy, who you guys will all see again very soon. Everybody who consumes on this channel, we'll have a place for the YouTube clips again. More on that coming up later on. I'll have all the answers for that. But just the idea that this is a franchise with so many expectations this year, but this is an AFC that's gotten really, really stacked, and being, asked about where are they, what is their ceiling, and so you don't know. Like you think that they put everything in place. I think that this is a team that can compete in the division, compete against Buffalo. For sure. I really, really do. I think that they made the most improvements. I think the offense has looked dynamic. It obviously is going to hinder a lot on what this offense does, how that offensive line improves, and what is the jump that Tua Tagovailoa is going to make. But this is an AFC that's just stacked. Like, it is going to be such a gauntlet. Like, we're talking right now a lot on the side of things about the East, right? Like the Eastern Conference in NBA, and a lot of talk about, the Heat should avoid Brooklyn and all this stuff. This East is a gauntlet. It is. Like, you talk about, Brooklyn and Milwaukee, and even Chicago's had a good year, even though they've kind of been frauds. There's a lot of good teams, and I think you look at this up and down. You look at that AFC West, how many good teams there are. You look at the AFC East, you see a Dolphins team much improved. You have the perennial favorites in the Buffalo Bills. Maybe this is the year that the Patriots even take a leap. We'll see. Colts, Titans, both really, really good teams, and then you got Joe Burrow, who took Cincinnati to the Super Bowl, and you got the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, a reigning MVP. So I just think there's just so much talent all over this conference that nothing is guaranteed, but the expectation should be to win nonetheless. They should be high. Like, this should be the year. I think that it is fair when you invest that much into a team that you go and you expect them to not only make the playoffs, but man, for 20 plus years getting a playoff win. I think that that's got to be the level when you're talking about what would be a success for this team. Doing something that they haven't done in over 2 decades would be fair for me, as far as like what an actual step would be. Because, like making the playoffs by a game, a half game, not make the playoffs. You had back-to-back winning seasons. You had a catastrophic start to the season last year. Were able to scrounge and find your way into a winning record, but weren't able to get into the postseason. But you don't want to get to the postseason and then get waxed. Like, you want to get to the postseason and have some level of success. So I really, really think for this, that's the important thing for this team. The other thing that was funny with Xavier Howard, when he was talking about the vision, when he talked to Mike McDaniel, he goes, I hope that he can get the offense on par, which is kind of funny because you're looking at it, you're like, it sounds like the most obvious thing in the world, right? It's like, well, yeah, the Dolphins' offense was very disappointing last year. The offensive line was 5 turnstiles up front, and Tua Tagovailoa was running for his life. He had his ribs broken. They had to play Jacoby Brissett. All their wide receivers seemed like they were hurt. They didn't have a running game really till they brought in Duke Johnson. Like, nothing went to plan last year on the offense other than Jalen Waddle was awesome. This is what we know. And so it was just funny to hear, like, hey, it is almost in a way a lot like Mike McDaniel is coming in here to put a Band-Aid on one side of the football because they've pretty much kept everything intact on the other side of the football. The coaching staff, all the players being back. Yeah, Flores isn't here. There's been some debate. Did he have more of an input when the things turned around? They became back to more of their aggressive. I don't know. Josh Boyer said he called all the plays last year for every game. But it was very interesting to see. It felt like there was some kind of a shift in the middle of the season to what was more working last year to make them more aggressive. Was he in on that? Was Flores? And we know Flores is a very good defensive mind. Like, we can talk about, his people skills, the bad starts, the relationship with Tua. Those are all fair criticisms. But I think we all know Brian Flores is a defensive mind. That guy is a savant. The guy's been really, really good his entire career. And so you do wonder if they can carry that over, because that I think is the fair expectation. It's like, look, there can't be any 8-game rut to get this thing figured out this year. This needs to be, you need to figure it out immediately, because if anybody's going to be on the hot seat the first year, if that defense does not live up to it, Boyer's going to be on the outs, I would think, because they're going to need some kind of a scapegoat for a first-year head coach. Not that I want to go doom and gloom. I'm just thinking out loud here, just spitballing. But I just think it was interesting that Xavier Howard's just so blunt and just be like, yeah, let's get that offense up to par. And on Masters Week, he's not even talking about a birdie. All right, he's not asking you to hole out. He just wants you up to par. Like, can we be something respectable? And we think this defense is going to be good enough. Now we're hoping that you go and get Tyreek Hill and you make the moves that they made. You're hoping it's more respectable. You hope this is going to be the most fun Dolphins offense to watch in a very, very long time. Definitely have the most explosive start that they've had in a very, very long time. But I just thought that was interesting where he's like, he met him, fun guy, hope he can get the offense up to snuff. Hope that's how it can go. So it's an interesting one, but that was a big theme from Agba and Xavier Howard yesterday, was about the vibes, the feeling. I think everybody's feeling good, for as much shock as there was at the end of the season, all the moves that they made, how Mike McDaniel has hit grand slams with all these press conferences, how he handles himself. Does feel like there's a little bit more of a lighter vibe right now in the offseason. The offseason has been one. It has. The offseason has been one. I will say one thing, though. I won't let this go. I know people are probably tired of me hearing that, but I can't not link Mike McDaniel and Deebo Samuel. It was interesting seeing the Diggs contract get done this week. And then all of a sudden, you got these little subtweets from Deebo Samuel. I'm just like, It's another debate that I got into with Leroy where he is, which, by the way, if you guys do want to watch now, you guys go to twitch.tv/7nighticket. You guys can watch the show there currently if you guys are into watching our program every single day. But we were debating, and he is steadfastly against it because he thinks it's too much money in receiver, that you go and you find a way. You go get Deebo Samuel, and then you got Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. Now, I don't know. Listen, I'm no cap guru, all right? I'm no Andy Ellisberg of the NFL. I think this stuff is all fugazi, the guaranteed, the fully guaranteed, the restructuring. It all just sounds hocus pocus to me. That's not my bag. I don't do that. I just throw out ideas and what I see. And what I see is Mike McDaniel had brunch with the dude. You don't have brunch with somebody you don't love. All right, that's just a fact. Deebo Samuel going to the Heat game, been hanging out in Miami, has dinner with Raekwon Davis, puts it on who puts it on Instagram, and now all this contract talk, these receiver dollars going thrown around to Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill. He looks at that almost as like this Swiss Army knife, this unbelievable receiver who can also be out of the backfield and all that type of stuff. And you go, well, what am I going to get? And that's what you want. Now, the only thing that I think is an issue with this is, does Deebo Samuel think he's going to get more than Tyreek Hill? That's an interesting question. Does he think that he deserves more than anybody? And Mike McDaniel clearly has an admiration for the guy. Would they invest that much? Would they top the Tyreek Hill? Because then do you have like a Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill Debo situation like you had with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. I don't know. Tyreek Hill hasn't been here, so they're both kind of coming in. And the way I would look at it, if I was, I would be like, it's kind of halvesies. Like he's half running back, half wide receiver. And he goes, well, that's not what the snap counts are. Yeah, kind of is. Like you got to finagle a little bit if you're McCoaching. You know what I'm saying? But when he tweets out, oh, okay then, with the subtweeting, just makes you wonder. Makes you wonder if something could still be done there, if a foisting could be happening with Deebo Samuel from the 49ers, and would McCoachin be into continuing to bring in, if it was possible, some kind of super unit on the wide receiver core. Interesting to check it out.